Well. Greetings and salutations, one and all, and welcome to Saturday Night Reaver with a direwolf. Oh, just settling in, just finished dinner and rushed on out as always to get here for 8 o'clock start, and obviously we were just before that, so that's pretty good. And how is everybody? How has your weeks been? I haven't been on since Tuesday because obviously I'd slipped around things as obviously the UEFA Cup final, which I was going to watch with my little brother and family, and luckily our team won, so yay. So just doing the socials as always. So that's one. And one more. That'll do, pig, that'll do. Jolly good stuff. Right, I think that's about it really. So good. That is good. Everything is going to plan, it says. So I doubt I'm going to have anything left in this tube, and I'm not sure. Well, there is a little bit, but it's getting the bloody thing open. A pair of pliers. You can get back in there. Hey, evening, Kenneth. And how are we today? What's occurring with you? As I'm literally just searching for a pair of pliers. I know I had a pair of pliers somewhere. All I can find is clippers. Okay. Pretty good dude, just got back from an all-day game, was good, 8 players, total 24,000 points. Nice. How's everything your end? Yeah, mine's okay, just getting some oil paint onto an old bowl. Clean up a little bit of looseness. How did your game go? Was it a victory for yourself, or was it a defeat? I'm just going to find a brush that I'm not particularly keen on, because this will destroy it. Served your time. That's White Spirit we are currently adding in. Another thing, as the minuscule amount of black I've added, the smallest morsel of black, and that's what happens. Literally just a tip of black, and it's gone complete black. As you would expect with paint like this. I've got the lid off excellent. So I've always had to double down with the umber to try and get it back to some sort of reasonable brownness. Make sure you get a good mix of that and get some more. Yes and no, sadly a loss for the loyalists due to War of Lies objectives. I claim victory though, as somehow I ended up killing all 4 traitor warlords. Well, that in itself is an epic day of gaming. I always, literally, I never go out to deliberately trying to say I'm going to win, but I'll go out and try and kill the Primarch opposite me, or you know, as long as I kill something big and chunky, I'm happy. So that's how I've always sort of aimed at, and most of the time I've been lucky with getting more. So this is a tasty supper of brown. Get some good action going as well. And then we go splodging. To forget that I can actually plonk that off. It's just really simple. Once you've obviously painted your model, you give it a good coat of varnish to help protect it. To be fair, because this is oil paint and you're painting it onto acrylic, white spirit doesn't really have any effect on the actual model. So, but it's just as a precaution, really. Did you see the Titan animation set during the siege? I did. I rather enjoyed that. It was lovely to see. On the trailer, you mean? I haven't actually seen the animation itself, apart from the trailer. So that I've seen. We'll have to remember to log in to check out when it goes live. Yeah, so I've not been subscribed to Warhammer TV. Well, last year I wasn't. Yeah, but the first 2 years I was, basically. Because I didn't really, watch a lot of the content that was on there. Watch the Blood Angels thing. I did enjoy watching a little bit of the coverage for the unveiling of 3rd edition. Like, oh right, okay. And the animation for that was really, really good as well. So. I actually got confused between the what do you call them? The Terminators, Sector 9 Terminators, and the Dreadnought thing, because I didn't realise that the Terminators had the big plasma doohickeys. So that's him giving a good old coating. What we'll do is we're going to leave that for a while. I'll blast it with a hairdryer as well. Which will help the drying, because basically what you're trying to do is trying to get the oil paint's pigment to remain. The white spirit will evaporate coming out, but you want to let it dry, and then you go at it with either like white cloth or I use cotton buds because I actually find it strangely satisfying. Weirdly. It's quite an enjoyable, relaxing process. I've done it with all the times that I've done oil weathering on before, where I would like literally just sit there, start from the start, make up a big batch of, you know, brown, go across all the plates and everything, and then by the time you've gotten to the end of your row, you sort of go back to the start again and start rubbing the paint off with cotton buds, and it is quite a strangely sort of like satisfaction or sense of satisfaction that you get when doing that. It is what it is. But with doing this, it does add an extra depth to the actual model. It really works well on my Solaria. The original scheme that I used for Legio Solaria did leave the green a bit more vibrant, but when you do oil washes, or oil weathering, it does tone it down a little bit. And I found after doing that with the Solaria engines that how they looked afterwards was closer to how they should look in like from the book, like the artwork that they did. So it actually paid off dividends there, but it does add a little bit extra dimension to actual models when you do this sort of technique. I know you got like streaking grime and stuff like that. I've never actually used it. I own some, but I've never actually used it as such, because I prefer, well, I've done everything else with this, so it seems a bit odd going to do that and have the possibility that it's going to look totally different to the rest of the engine, so you don't want that. So you avoid it whenever you can. I'll just notice I missed the chunk there. So that's cool. So that's that. The other thing I was thinking of doing tonight was probably making a start on the Soli Auxilia, so giving them a spray and then working from there, really. Once I've located the Soli Auxilia, which are in this box. Though, what I might do is actually cut this part of the sprue off, because I prefer gluing these together with Ogrins. I might even do that with the Ogrins actually, because they've got to be glued together as well. Solar, the real heroes of the Imperium. That's in general, sort of like heroes is obviously the next ranks of the Imperium, the Imperial Army, and Solar Auxiliary. As well as the Marine Legions. Let's not forget the Marine Legions. They had a certain part to play within the wars of the Great Crusade. Yeah. Just a small part, maybe. The shock and awe part. I'll quickly spray this. That'll do. There that. Close the door. Some air in, but not too much. Now, whilst we've painted the tanks already, and I was basing them with Dark Reaper, I don't want the troops to be the same as the tanks. I've never been a massive fan of having like vehicles the same colour as my infantry. Now you can have similar, but you want it to be slightly different. Mostly because of the paint, you know, if it was a real life situation, you know, like uniforms that soldiers wear don't match exactly their tanks. They might be painted in similar schemes, or like, you know, camouflage, for example. So like desert camo on a tank will look slightly different to the patterns on infantry uniform, BDUs. So I've always tried to do that with like soldiery, especially, just to give you that little bit of difference to them, but then still close enough that you can see them together. Go, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But that is obviously something that needs to be worked on. We've got our little command squad dudes, las sections. How many las rifle dudes we got there? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 19, 20. And you've got your close combat dudes, that's 5 of them, no, 10 of them, and a selection of flamers. So how many flamers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's the dude. So that must be the dude for these guys. That's the dude for these guys. And that's the dude for these guys. And then we've got looking at that sort of command. Hey, hello, Judge. You're sneaking in there, sir. So I might need to look up what right, okay. I've just seen how on their bases they go. Because obviously you have your command squad, which is I don't know, him, that, and these two, or you have a tactical command, which is this dude instead of that dude. So that's the main one first for the commander. Sprue. Well, that goes with him. So that radio goes with the sergeant. That dude goes, the Vexilia goes on his own sprue with some of the last section. So yeah, it all figures out. As a World Eater player, I am anything but a sneaky beaky. Combat, where we go, how we roll. Right. Well, I like the command model is the old written style. Yes. Thought that was a direwolf conversion beamer there. More Audax chapter approved. It is indeed conversion beamer. Just remember not to do your ears at the same time, not scare yourself. I was wondering how this cotton technique was done. Apparently the studio did their Audax in similar fashion. Yeah, it's basically, you go through a few, but this is how I've always done it. I know like they say like, oh, you should use like a clean white cloth, and I do have clean white cloth and all that, but I do prefer using cotton. So go in once, and you're pushing towards the edges to get that to trap into those little furrows. I've really got an itchy ear now, and I want to stick one of these out. Especially with the lighter colours, you probably have to go over it a couple of times just to make sure that you get enough of it off to bring it nearer to what it was. It's not going to be like pure white again, obviously. I've really got an itch in my ear. I'm going to have to cut on blades. And one of my Legio Kratos Warmaster was featured on the Warhammer TV sort of hobby hangout a couple of years ago, and Nick described it as like, you know, it's like it's covered in barbecue sauce. Looks like sticky barbecue sauce. Oh, that's actually right. Oh, that's better. Needed that. Nice discoloration on the metals as well. That's doing well. So as I said, like where you're using this, you're pushing it towards the edges, so it sort of congregates and try and get as much off from the raised area of the plates at least. Hey, hello Bus. What a lovely surprise. Thank you for dropping in. We're just making a mess at the moment. Are you still doing your kill team stuff? Would you use the same technique on full-scale Titans or slightly moderate? No, I would use exactly the same. So I might obviously go with the white cloth version instead of trying to use cotton buds. I suppose that is more me doing this for the smaller scale. It's getting right into those hard to reach places. I'm giving it a good old oh I attacked myself with cotton buds. Those areas, so it's a lot easier to get a cotton bud in than anything bigger. Just like get in those little crevices. But it's amazing, like for something that's quite quick and simple to do, like to knock out a mix, it does make a huge difference to how these look overall. As I say, normally when you paint quite vibrantly, they tone down really nicely. So just whapping it out as best you can. need more slurpage or drinkage. I need. Now you may notice I haven't gone all over the model. I've mostly gone on just the armor plates. That's really where you want to. Where I want to focus on. And yes, I did do some on the top sections there, but it's more for the plates and the trim. Tools. And it does really do, like the golds in particular, it does give it a rather lovely finish. Especially when you've done like quite a thick layer, you need to get that bud right in there and clean it off as much best you can. So repeat wiping is often needed on the lighter ones just to bring it back up. You're just trying to get it off of those areas as best you can, really. Itchy knee. So always make sure I've got plenty of cotton buds for the occasion. Looking live in hope that it was going to focus then. scoot around. I was just checking to see if Crystal was streaming or not. After last weekend where we was in each other's stream. So I was trying to paint the writing on part of my dad's scooter. Ah, right. His actual scooter. So what? Is that in the loft? How did you get up there? So, oh bless you. Things we do, eh? And quite a lovely little visit to Crystal and Rob's earlier on, and see the BB and Chaucer, the cat. And assist with some gardening. It's a lovely visit. Sure those eye lenses are clear of gunk. Nice. Ooh, ouch. Ooh. Just repositioning myself. That does sit back in there, but I'm just going to let that sit separately so it allows for the actual paint to actually dry properly. I'm going to just try So that's all the cotton buds that have been used to do one little dude. So I'll let that dry off properly. Just put that over there. Ugh. Hey, plus. Just excuse me for a second, I'm just going to get some fresh water before we start trying to paint this thing. These dudes. Wow. What's all of these messages being redacted? What did you do? Right, so I painted using, what did I use? Wasn't Basilicon grey. So the tanks, yeah, I used Dark Reaper on the tanks. So I don't want to be the same colour with their uniforms, but by the same token, I don't want it to be near Mechanical Standard Grey because I use that on the bases when I'm doing the gluing them on that. So I want to avoid that. These brushes out of the way. They're distracting. I really want to try and get them looking more like traditional sort of urban camo, because obviously the bases I do are all sort of urban-esque-ish. It's very vague. It's very vague indeed. So I could. So you've got Dark Reaper. It's quite dark. This is slightly lighter. This is Rust Grey. I'm thinking Rust Grey. I am thinking Rust Grey. Booba shaker. Get that booba shaker going. And because obviously once I've gone over that, I can do the metals and then give it a wash. And then that'll be a bit groovy. Hit the wrong button. Also named my Warmaster Titan 2, sharing the name of a battleship from the Warhammer collaboration with World of Warship. It's named Ignis Purgatia. Fire Puncher or Firefighter. Purifying Flame. Wow. Oh, it says Purge, sorry. Puge is fighter. Nice. And it will bring much dread to your enemies, I am sure. Right. Let's get slapping. Get base layer on. Close combat power axe type wielding dudes. That's Flamer dudes. Purging Flame. After I finish Scatter Flamma, Sacra Flamma, I'm going to paint House Hyperion, Lacquer, or Arakon from the old Codex Titanicus. Nice. The old schemes are cool. Strange how Kras survived to today, but Hyperion, Lacquer, and Arakon didn't. Well, Kras had quite a large selection of knights of stuff. finally started reading Tone Deaf. Oh, cool! Oh, that's awesome. It definitely is one of my favourite books from the Heresy. Not just because of Titans, although Titans do have quite a significant part to play in that book. It's just that Legio Solaria is such a cool Legio in general, and it's it's one of the books I've read and listened to the most out of the Heresy, because it's kind of standalone in a weird sense, because it's dealing with obviously the Titan death, which was like an epic battle. Well, it lasted a hell of a long time because of the location of the Beta Garmin and the sister systems around that area. So it was like the Heresy in microcosm. So it was pretty unique in that respect. But as I say, the Titan battles, the conflicts, and just learning about a Legio and how it sort of operates is pretty cool. And the fact that there were an all-woman Legio, their origin story is one of my favourite things from 40k and 30k and anything K. There's not many books that I've re-listened to or reread, and Titan Death I've read and listened to on multiple occasions. So not only do their Titans look badass with their scheme, they're fearless and they're ferocious, and one of the best Legios out there. Well, they've got one of the third highest kill death ratio for Titan Princeps, for Titan combat. And when you think that there's quite a few Titan Legios out there that you would assume would have an amazing thing, like KD scores. I'm still looking for the book. Well, you can't get it off of Black Library. So well, I know Crystal does a lot of reading. She normally does it via Kindle. So obviously, ebooks are easy to get hold of, but hard copies, especially hardbacks, I'd imagine are probably harder to get. There's a sudden thump outside. Not anymore. I want a physical copy. That's fair. It took me 3 times to start, not gonna lie. Be right back. No worries. We'll be here. What was I saying? Well, I'll have a look out if anybody sees a copy of Titan Death, if they're out and about or in a Games Workshop and all that. Please let us know so that Plastic Painter can try and obtain a copy. Unless you know anyone going out to Warhammer World, they're generally pretty good, he says, roughly, kind of. Then again, they're normally filling out with all their other stuff, aren't they? I have the audio book, but I like reading along with it too. No, there's nothing wrong with that, buddy. I do like, obviously, with audiobooks, you hear how they pronounce like names and stuff, but then you can never really take that as gospel because other like voice actors and all that might say the names differently when they do, like the characters pop back up again in other stories, sort of thing. But I know like Solaria do turn up at the Siege of Terror. Right, so how do these Solar Auxiliary units? So I need. What do I need? Don't need that. Oh. I'm just looking up on my collection of sort of armor schemes. There's one of them which the symbol is one of the symbols you see on the decal sheet, which is the Spartan helm, and their name is the Lord Marshal's own Agathon. I thought, that's quite interesting. Seeing as, you know, surnames Marshall and all that jazz. I was just trying to get some ideas for the actual weapons themselves, and on the plates. Although ash scorpions actually, ash scorpions, it's just a case of picking out the armoured cloth. Really, they look like a sky blue armour. I may need to utilise my sex goggles. So excuse me while I am right. I'm going to need. We are definitely going in with the Corvus Black. So it's really quite tiny. Get a different brush because that's not quite cutting the mustard. I might actually have to break out some of the ones that Look at these little details is a right pain in the ass. Trying to get so you always do the front parts first, and then we go onto the back afterwards. It's only fair. Do things tiny little hands. It's quite tricky, especially trying to get those little parts done. Trying to get an undercloth done. sure to regularly clean said brush so the bristles don't get too clogged up. So what else is everybody working on tonight anyway? Is there any other titans out there? Oh, no. Nothing at the moment. Today was more me out than hobby-wise. That's fair. Obviously, being in part of a 24,000 point game probably has zapped some of your will to live. It's a lot of units to deal with. Back need to try and paint, but I really don't think I'll last very long. Well, you last as long as you want to, or as long as you can. You have been doing really well with the painting recently. You seem to have gotten back your mojo, which has been great to see, to be honest, boss. Because it's always nice to see you actually enjoying hobby. You know, when you're sort of doing commission work, I can understand how it can be a bit of a grind and that, but you've got through that, you've got the job done, and now you are a lady of leisure, kind of, with your hobby projects, and you've been doing really well with it. You're a little kill team dude. So last as long as you can. I dare you. Painting for yourself is so much better than painting for someone else. I'll say we're all here just chilling, vibing, trying to paint tiny butts now. I have tiny butts to paint. That's always exciting, painting tiny butts. And I'm not talking about their rifles. Well, I'm saying that I am trying to avoid painting their butts. Oh my. Paint me like one of your French women. No, one of your French girls. What are you going to try and paint then, boss? You're back onto orchids. Oh, secrets. Oh, will colour me intrigued. Paint the tiny butts, painting the tiny butts, butts, painting the tiny butts. And I'm just liberally just adding colour to where it needs to go. There's no real precision as such. Well, there is, but there isn't. Because you're not going to be able to see the bloody things. I'm enjoying it, Alex. Well, that's the main thing, as well we know. It's all about the funsies. You know, it's we do this. We don't want it to be a chore. We want it to be enjoyable. Painting the tiny butts. But. Clean the brush. Get those sleeveys. army's done. So that way it's all tickety boo. Oh, no, there's still loads more to do. I've got another 3 sprues. These to get through. Arms. Getting them done. With a little tip brush. Whip, whip, whip. That's thing, using these rather sexy looking goggles makes this quite a lot easier by comparison. I was trying to see without them, it would be a fucking nightmare. Right, so that's the last section done. There are so many butts on this sprue. Loads of butts. Top up my drinkage, which doesn't help when you're painting and you're drinking alcohol. But you know, we all got we all need our hobby fuel. Off. An appropriate t-shirt. Meh. Just having a normal scratch. Look at that. Much better. Right. So it's not as if we haven't got like tons of other dudes to be getting on with. I was backing you up when you were scratching. And as I said, sometimes you just got to go from a really weird angle just to get that spot, you know. And I said I'm on your, you know. I know I called you a freak, but I meant it lovingly. and now I'm doing it. I'm just fucking really fucking, you know, it started an epidemic of scratching. Like from here, right, you really can't see fuck all that I've done. You can just about see some black parts on the actual dudes. Sorry, boss. Love you. So for see, Thursday we had the yesterday wasn't it? We had the revelation of Saturnine. So Mark II armor and Saturnine armor. The more I see it, the more I kind of like it, the aesthetic of it. But obviously it's quite a brutal looking armour to have, and they've got some nasty weapons for them as well, amongst other things. Tend to pick some up. I've seen it excited for a late unification wars project. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. With Heresy, I've still got loads of stuff I haven't built because I think I work better when I'm like the motivation is there to do like mass project sort of thing. But I'm not in that same mindset as I was, like with my Alpha Legion. When that started back 2022, I was all for Alpha Legion, and I've painted a load of them, but I've kind of fallen out of, say, the desire for painting more. I don't know whether or not it's because I'm just getting old or I'm really into painting really tiny dudes and tiny titans. Can you stretch your eyes? So looking through these things does take its toll on the old vision. Starting to pick reference in that. All right. Yeah, that sounds about right, really. More older gamers going into the smaller and smaller models because their vision's getting worse, so you can't see what you're doing and how bad it looks. Oh, crick in the neck. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to, at some point, organise my Twitch channel. Just to give that a go. Because my boss has been telling me for years now that I should give it a go. And I've been disappointing her ever since. But I think it's worth giving it a go. Like maybe one stream a week initially to see what's what. Because maybe I can do that on a non evening of. Sorry, I'm trying to see through them onto the screen. I can't see fuck all. Maybe like, because obviously I normally stream late on other nights. Well, I can probably stream late on other nights, maybe for about an hour or two or something. I think you should just stream on both platforms at once and then dock both chats into OBS. Well, yeah. As I say, it just really needs to add it to OBS. Like, I've got OBS on at the moment there anyway. So, and because I'm using not only OBS, but I've got my phone here, which I'm using as like the YouTube chat. So I could have YouTube chat or Twitch chat on that, and then YouTube chat there. So at least I've got both of them in view. Because I remember seeing other streamers where they were streaming on both, and they kind of ignore one or prioritize one over the other, which is not, it's not cricket, I don't think. It should be fair and well balanced. And you know, as I say, you did tell me like a couple of years ago to start doing it, and I have been reluctant. I will admit that my reluctance and stubbornness is not the best of things to have, but I know what you mean, and you know, your encouragement. So might be in the next like week or two, I'll give it a crack and see how that goes. I know it can be done, not how though. Well, I'm sure that there's probably videos out there to show you, so I'll just have to watch some of them. I'm sure it's just like a case of just adding a key to the OBS, really, isn't it? Like you've done with the YouTube. I know Ruby has done it, so could just ask her. Or then again, it might just be easier just to watch a YouTube. Just watch a YouTube telling you how to do it in Switch. Dual stream. get it done. You how you feeling, boss? I know you had oh, you found a vid. Oh, awesome. You're quite handy to know, aren't you? Right. Stretch it out. So I'm going to find that one. So I'll do the rifles using jet exhaust, of course, from Vallejo. I just got dive bombed by some weird battle fly thing. God's sake, it's getting me. Let's say, have you got the skylight up open? Well, that's not going to help you, is it? You'll see your light and go, hey, let's go in here. There's a party going on. And dive bomb you. Ooh, back in, back in, back in. I'd say with these Vallejo paints, they're very thin, but you get really good coverage with them. And lots of it. It's like you have just a little bit on your brush and it just seems to go for ages. Yeah, close the one above me, but the other one is open and need the air. Yeah, but I say the loft does get a little bit stuffy, doesn't it? And we kind of like having you around, so being able to breathe is quite, you know, quite the thing. to the rifles we must go, E-I-E-I-E-I-O. Especially with the fumey paints earlier. Oh yeah, yeah. I can imagine. That's why I so you want to go outside with the spray, even though it's outside, you always get a little bit of like, not the backwash sort of thing. So I have to leave the door open or window open for a little bit longer than ideal. Just purely so I don't suffocate. Grass. Ba, 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 ba. Getting these little fellas, getting their les rifles done. So once I've got the weapons colours in, then we'll wash them all. Gonna head off to have a good night. Thank you very much, Kenneth, for hanging out. Hope you have a good sleep after your busy day of mass destruction and killing 4 warlords. And I'll catch up with you on Wednesday. Catch up with you again on Wednesday, no doubt. So have a great rest of the weekend, buddy. That is good. Oh, pardon me. on down. Little tiny axes. Just shake out the cobwebs a little bit more. Little tiny swords. Little itch behind the ear. That's significant. Let's ba-ba. So we're going quite well with the old sex skulls. It's nice being able to see what I'm painting on these bloody things. Or they are most tiny. Pencil waxes. Now we're on the final stretch. I don't use them every time I paint. It's only when I'm doing like these little bastards, like the infantry, because they are quite teeny tiny. Like tanks, I don't, but I might use them just to double check on like certain parts that I cover them, if you know what I mean. But these are actually these are Ivy's, because I'm looking after some of her hobby stuff while she's out in Japan. And she said like, oh, if you want to borrow anything, you know, feel free. So I thought I'd give these a go, and they have been helpful. I'm not going to lie, they have. They've allowed me to actually see stuff and then paint it. And that's very handy, being able to see. Right. Hair dryer. Actually, just realised I missed the back of the banner. What colour should the banner be? So to stand out, I do think red. red would go against the blue, so we go red. Will do on that, I think. So, hair dry again. I just realised I haven't done the cloak on Glorious Leader. So again, we'll go red. Blast. more. And one for Berry Heart. Come on, come on. Nom 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 nom. Yeah, sweets. Did you have any of the little cakes I bought? They're actually quite nice. Ah, the Alucard Long Night. But I watched Speed Test that you recommended. Oh, LA Speed story. I feel too. Oh yeah, sorry. Definitely wasn't me. I didn't do it. I'm gonna say you. Yeah, so you must have just sort of either. I don't know. It was you didn't really eat anything when you come back, did you? We had crumpets, but that's because you hadn't eaten anyway. Is it like a sicky sick, sort of like pukey ill, or just like lethargy you got? Super queasy and dinner. I myself eat it though, lack of appetite. Sitting at the back of my throat. Really regret eating. Oh, I'm sorry. I hate that when you're just like, you just want to feel like normal. Sending hugs. Sherry boss. Honestly, I keep looking to my side because I thought I saw something crawling across. Like you dive bombing fly things and just random insects in here. Spitter. Really enjoying painting though. Well, that's good. I'm glad that you're enjoying yourself at least, and hanging out here is always welcome, boss. You know that. good to have a good old dry down. So relax a little bit and slurp. Squiggly diggly. What's the drink of choice tonight? Well, it's the old faithful Jack Daniels honey. In Pepsi Max. I really just got a thing for it. I prefer it. Like I've always liked Jack Daniels ever since I first tried it, and I can even remember the first time I tried it, which was it was in November in about 1993. It was or maybe 92 actually, because it was when I went to see the Black Crows at Brixton Academy with my two friends from college, and we was before going into the gig, we'd had a small bottle of Jack Daniels and started drinking it in a park near to the venue. I was 3. I was 2. Jeez, was that like 91 then? So 90, yeah. So 90. So yeah. So when you were born, I was 15. Mansfield, yeah. Mansfield Park. Oh, the fun I had down there, rolling down hills, sledging at Christmas, building camps in the little wooded areas. There was at the bottom of Mansfield Park, they had like a builder's yard because they were renovating a lot of the privately owned houses down valley side and all around. So there were like stacks of bricks that me and my mates were like climbing up the top of these like pallets of breeze blocks and running around playing tag on top of bricks as you do. As I said, building camps, causing little fires by accident, having adventures, wandering around, chasing girls. Yeah. Drinking. What was you drinking? They're like super tenants. I could go into the little shop that was down near there, the little corner shop, and I'd go in there and buy a pack of 4 super tenants and say it was for my stepdad, and they'd let me, or cigarettes, but it had to be specific brands, and that's the thing. So I remember having bin races. Some of the other kids found bins and they first tried it to fit as many in as possible, then they tried to ride and roll them down the hill. Yeah, I think the best one is what I was involved in. We actually found like a stash of kids like wheeled toys, you know, like the little that they sit on and push themselves along. So there was like a little lion with 4 wheels, and we found about 4 or 5 of these things that had been dumped over a fence. So we claimed them and then rode down, like racing them down the paths of Mansfield Park, playing spin the bottle on top of one of the hills. But that was actually, when I was a bit later, when I was about 18. It was definitely 18/19. It was before I moved away. Snogging girls down over the park as well, as you do, you know, growing up. Oh dear. Yes.
Life throws challenges at all of us.
What the hell's that? Oh, that's the
I'm John Robbins, and on my podcast,
advert?
I sit down with incredible people.
Skip that. Wow. Can't believe we went through the entire thing there. But rolling down the hills was always a norm kind of thing, and just going through all the bushes and making camps and stuff. so funny how different generations did the same things in the same places. Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's I think obviously like being at school, so like hanging out over Maxwell Park. So where you had the valley side entrance to Maxwell Park. So when you come down like Waltham Way onto Valley Side, and then you had the sort of the big sort of gap between houses, and you walk into the park. Now, if you're standing there looking into the park, and you follow the edge of it going up the right hand side, so walking up the hill as you go, as you came up to the bit near the top where there's a lot of bushes and stuff, so where you would follow the tree line round, that corner was where my house backed onto. So when I first moved there in '84, I remember like I remember seeing kids out in the street, but I didn't go out or anything. But I was in the back garden, and there was a couple of kids that I recognised from the street, sort of out there, and I'd climbed up into the tree that overlooked the fence that looked into the park, and I was sitting there, and they spotted me, sort of thing. So I was pretending to be like a sniper. And they came over and we started talking, and that was it basically. Just started knocking around with, that was George, his older sister Laura, I think there was a few of them, Buddy. So yeah, it was. But I literally used to, when I used to go to, obviously Nevin, I'd climb over the fence or through the fence, because there was a little gap down the other side I could go through, walk across towards the main entrance where the gardens were. So that's my cut through. Obviously if it was too muddy I wouldn't, or I would chance going up Silverthorn sort of thing. But that was my usual way home. But then as I got like older, and like obviously my sort of my closest friend, he lived down the mount, Alpha Road, so I'd end up walking home with him and then walking back to mine, sort of thing, or I would cut off at Leedale Avenue and then walk back to mine, or we'd go through Ridgeway Park, especially when again there were certain girls involved, so you're walking home through the park sort of thing, trying to charm them into being a good girlfriend. Which, to be fair, I was pretty shit at. There was, I don't know, I mentioned it before, but there was this one girl that I'd had a crush on from like the first year, senior, to about the third year. And strangely, her name was Jo King. But I had this crush on her, and one day I decided that I was going to ask her out. I got into school early because you always used to put your bags into class and then go back out to the playground until the bell went. So everyone's bag was in there, and I basically bought a box of Quality Street chocolates, and I had a little note attached to it saying, "Will you go out with me?" sort of thing. And I put it into a bag, put the flap back over, went out. So when registration came around, I used to sit in the new block. I was in the third year. We was in new block, first door on the right as you're going on the ground floor. So that was my class, our registration class. And I sat in the back corner. Joe was on the next aisle across at the front, right by the teacher's desk. And I was sitting there at the back, like, sort of like keeping myself to myself, but looking ahead, and saw her open up a bag, and like, what the? Is that like? What's that? Sort of turned to her friend sitting next to her, Nicola Twining, and she turned round and saw me, and I was like looking at her, and she looked at me and went, sort of thing, and I just like, hi. So I think, yeah, that was me. And kind of like worked, but then at dinner time, at lunchtime, sorry, my mate Matt Barham came up to me and said like, "Oh mate, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, I didn't realise." And I went, "What?" He said, "Oh, I'd asked Joe out, and like she said yes." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." Like, and I absolutely loved Matt. He was like my closest buddy, sort of thing. And I had such low self-esteem, I just accepted it, sort of thing. Thinking back, there might have been a panicked moment where she's spoken to Matt and said, I'm in trouble, Lee's asked me out, I don't want to go out with him, and all that sort of stuff. And that was the way they sort of broke it to me. And I just accepted it. And then walking home after school, Nicola Twining came up to me as ahead of her and Joe, and said, Joe feels really bad, and she said like, would your chocolates back? And I just went, no, I bought them for her. And just kept on walking, sort of thing. Yeah, I should have took them back. But yeah, that was it. wasn't that I don't know, I was just one of those, like, just run of the mill kid sort of thing. I wasn't exactly special, or there was obviously much better looking lads at school. I was just an awkward sort of average kid. I was just the one who's class clown type thing. So yeah, that was horrific. It's like counselling. I did ask a girl out called Leanne, and we did walk home via Ridgway Park. Never sort of didn't kiss or anything like that. It was like a peck on the cheek and a cuddle, but that was, just holding hands. But I don't know, it didn't feel right, and I sort of like thought, no, I'm not really into this sort of thing. So that didn't go very far, didn't last very long either, and didn't do much canoodling. Who else was there? There was a couple of, like I say, because when I was honestly, Crystal, I can remember so much from way back when. Like, I was like one of the older kids in our street thing. So there was, I think it was might have been in the 4th year. So that was like 3rd year. 4th year, there was a girl like who knocked around with like there was a load of kids who were like about 2 years below me that hung out in the streets sort of with us. And then, like the girls, Denise, her friends used to come over from where they live. So there was Kelly, Julia, and Kelly. So there's Kelly Hamill, who I used to call Kelly Camel because she had 2 humps. I really liked her, and so obviously like teasing, and I really liked her. So I think that she was cute. Julia was quite nice, but not quite. You know, I didn't really fancy her sort of thing. Kelly, I was horrible to. Like not in a spiteful way, but like just like I'd be nice to the other 2 and go, well, fuck off, Kelly, sort of thing, jokingly. And somehow then we started dating. The main thing I remember about Kelly was, again, I got more kissing practice with her and realised that this is not the way you should kiss. So that lasted about 2 weeks. And then I went away to a caravan, my mum's caravan on Canvey Island. So I basically just said, like, I just disappeared for a couple of weeks, and for me that was it. That was the end of the relationship. But the weird thing was whilst I was away, I used to get the newspaper for my mum and take it back to the caravan, our caravan, and I used to like reading little stories in the sidebars. And there's this one about a jilted girlfriend who killed her boyfriend because he left her, and his name was Lee Marshall and her name was Kelly Atkinson, and I was like stopped with what? The fucking what the fuck? So that was weird. So yeah, so that fell through. But then again, she was a nice enough girl, but as I said, I think that was just a case of just convenience. I think I hadn't had much luck, so you kind of take what you can get. So yeah, and then there was that would have been about 1990, and then I went on holiday in the school holidays to France with my dad and my stepmom and my little brother and sister, or half brother, half sister, and I met a girl there called Sarah Shaw, who was from Norfolk, or East Dereham in Norfolk, and had a great couple of days, because when you're on holiday, you're not you can be whoever you want to be. Not that I was pretending to be anyone, I was still myself, but I think because you haven't got that baggage, because everybody knows who you are in your school and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, so I met her by a swimming pool with her little sister. Her little sister came over to me and said, do you think that girl's pretty? I went, yeah, she's nice. Was playing it cool. Yeah, she's quite nice. And then it was the awkward teenagers sort of thing, because we got out of the pool, because I was in the pool with my little brother. Her and her sister Rachel were in the pool. They'd got out, sat on their towels. We'd got out, sat on our towels, which was nearby, and I was trying to get my little brother to go over to them and ask what their names were, but he would not do it. Like, admittedly, he was only like, how old was that? So he must have been about 5, maybe 6. And obviously, as a 15-year-old kid, you can't do it yourself. You've got to get someone else to do it. So trying to get a 60-year-old kid, and I was trying to bribe him. I'll give you sweets. Go and ask what her name. No. Please, will you just go and ask? No. So it ended up sitting there for about half an hour, like too shy to actually go over and talk to her. And eventually, she's got her stuff together, got up, and started walking out. And I just like panicked. Thought, oh my god, I've got to do something. So I just quickly, as she's gone past, sort of thing, I just grabbed my stuff, like put my like t-shirt on or whatever, jumped on the bike that I had with me, which I'd rented, and just pulled up alongside her and just like, hi, how are you, sort of thing, like, what's your name, and just like fumbling and all that, and it went well. And then we organised to go for a walk later on after she was heading back for a dinner. And I said, well, I'll walk her back to where they were staying. I said I'll probably have to go have my dinner, but I'll come back about 6, and we'd go for a walk, because I'd been out for a walk around the area, the campsite sort of thing. It was in Normandy, and it was quite nice, like little like fields and trees and stuff like that. So yeah, so that was great. Brass. That was good old times. School holidays and holiday romances. They're the best. Alright. So they don't look too bad once they're dry. There's extra details and stuff I still need to sort of address on some of these. It's still a bit wet in places. So yeah, it's like giving a rap sheet of my teenage years. Oh dear. Misgotten youth. We did exchange addresses, and I did write a letter to her once I came back to England, but I never got a reply. Hashtag sad face. This is some Seraphim Sapphire onto these Power Axe thingies. That's what you actually do with these, is obviously just using washes as best you can. Just to not lose the look of the actual models. Like if you use too much of paints, you'd lose the detail, so washes, shades work really well. Seraphim Sepia onto the weapons, just to give them a much like different like hue compared to their armor. Yeah, it's my memory is sometimes a bane. Oh, actually, boss as well. I forgot to mention it when I saw you earlier on. Apple, no, Amazon have cancelled Wheel of Time, which is bonkers because, as I said to you, season 3 was actually pretty good and it had like a 97% rating, and they've cancelled it. So it's like, what the fuck? Oh, I'm so sorry. I know you're not a fan, because it's not like how it should be, but it's what we have. It's all we have, and they've just fucking cancelled it. Which is bonkers. It was rated better than like the Lord of the Rings one, Rings of Power, and the whatever other one there was. It was a good show. I'm thinking, he says, Booba Shaker. I'm sorry for your loss. Well, it's nothing unusual. Always cancelling shows. It's a shame though, because there's not enough sort of like good fantasy TV series out there. one that I actually quite enjoyed, which was on the Apple TV, which is called See, SEE, and it was Jason Momoa in a dystopian future where the vast majority of people are blind, like literally 99% of humanity that's left are blind, and they're living their best lives as blind people. But then there's people that can see. They started being born, and they're obviously quite of an advantage and stuff. But it was good. It was enjoyable. All this like blind combat that was going off. It was like warring factions and stuff. It was a bit I did start watching the Shannara Chronicles, but that didn't last long. A bit more fuel lines. Boom, shaker. Shaky, shaky, boo, boo. Hello, engine fuel. How are you? first, last. Yo, I am back. Hello, Anton. Phil, unfortunately, Judge came in about half hour after the start and claimed first, as he often does. So, but nobody claimed last. So well done, Crystal. So nobody expects that. Always. But it was worth the try. You never know. He might not have turned up, and you could have claimed first. But unfortunately, it had been claimed. How are you, boy? What are you up to? I was actually telling Phil he was last, but I will claim it. There you go. So you can claim last. You can claim whatever position you want to be. Really, like this whole thing about being first is important. First is good, but someone might want to claim to be seventh. Lucky number. There's no right, there's no wrong. As long as you exist in a happy state of mind, it doesn't matter. They have doomed Horus Heresy. They've basically gone mainstream with Horus Heresy. So it's like it's been with all the rule books from time immemorial. Hey, Sophus. Seventh. See, nice choice there. Running PowerShell scripts to migrate 700 gigabytes worth of emails from one office 365 tenant to another. See, that's some busy techno stuff. Somebody's got to do it, and that's you. You're the hero they need, Phil. You're the hero they need. First female. You can claim first female. That's legitimate. So congratulations on being first female. Always my first female. That didn't sound right. It sounded right in my head. Top boss lady. Hello. What are we up to, Sophus? Sophus, what are we doing tonight? Are you migrating anything over? More rules than 40k, and now I need to spend a load of money to get new books that are only good for 3 years. Yep. See, that's the thing. Specialist games, Forge World, they've done their bit, and Games Workshop are cracking as much cashola as possible, and that's basically changing things on a more regular basis. Watching TV with Mrs. Hello, Mrs. Pennant. Who here is going to UK Games Expo? I am going to UK Games Expo. Are you going to UK Games Expo? Oh, you do go, don't you? You go with Paul. Cool. Well, I'm sure I'll bump into you at some point. Well, thanks for dropping by, Anton, and I hope you get the kid back to sleep. Good luck with that one. But I'm sure, Heresy Heresy shall survive in one form or another. Or just keep playing second edition. That's what most people on chats have been saying today. So there is a resistance. That's better. So, what are you looking for in particular at UK Games Expo, dude? Anything that's just hunting around? Not being on social media, so unaware of the resistance. What's the word regarding new HH rules, etc., issues, and so on? So most people, from what I can gather, from seeing stuff, is that a lot of people just have been going, well, I'll just play using second edition rules. That's basically it. You know, I know certain people that I know have been, you know, quite vocal about this change, but as soon as it went mainstream, as in you started getting all the plastic stuff, I suppose in some respects we should have just expected that they were going to go down that route. It's like everything, it'll get everybody hooked on plastic crack and then just go, hey, what a great idea, we're going to have new editions, and make it into 40k heresy. So new codexes and keep us buying stuff. It's what works for them. Having these new books come out, new models, and just toe us in line that way. So they get us. Now just for the crack. That's fair. I see so new rules every 2 years. I'm not up for that. Yeah, that's what I say. Just stick with playing the older systems. Like, people have been doing it before anyway. So like, even like with original Adeptus Titanicus or Epic, there's loads of old rule sets out and about in the wild and you know, people will play those rules, and people like Warhammer Fantasy, people like Second Edition. I think it was Second Edition was the one that everyone liked, or was that 40k Second Edition? So there's nothing stopping you from collecting the models. You just use them as different models, or we just play the old stuff. No, I tended to want to change model like armies because new models look so much better, sort of thing, you know. But I don't think it's really. I've gone to a stage now where I'm not that sort of fussed. Like I've got rid of most of my 40k armies. I've still got some Marines, my Emperor Spears, Black Templar, and I can always use my Mechanicus stuff that I have got. Although I'd want to use them in more in Heresy, but you can't really, technically. So yeah, you just play what feels best for you. You know, if you don't want to buy books, you don't need to buy them. You just play with like 2.5, or even back to the old 7th edition rules, because that's what Alan last worked on. I think most people were pretty happy with 7th edition and how Heresy worked. When 8th edition came out and you had that definite break between the two, I think like 7 on 7.5 was okay, and then obviously they made the new sort of rule variants and the rule sets, so that threw a bit of a spanner in the works, and all the like the reactions and stuff. But yeah, just play the old stuff. Like there's so many of the books still out there and available. Like, I've still got all my 7th edition books and 7.5 and stuff, so I could just redo it, replan it, and go from there. Really, if I wanted to. There's nothing stopping me. I'll take this out. Like, much better. So yeah, whatever you play, just go with it. That's all you can do, really. You're not going to get much joy out of Games Workshop. They're monetising everything as best they can because they are a multinational company and they've got shareholders and staff. Got bills to pay. So yeah, it's all people are singing. How dare they be happy? Yeah, you know, there's probably going to be a whole load of people that like it. All us old boys and girls, not so much. It's all a shame. But there's some strange football type chants going off, but you know, that's their problem. Right. We'll try something quickly. Chelsea Red Boy, apparently. What's that sword dude? Pretty good, actually. This is so what a lot of like Gundam hobbyists do with these Gundam markers and all that. They'll squish out a lot and then they'll just use a brush, dap it in there and use that as their paint, which is quite a clever little. That's a very oh shit. Don't need to do that. That's quite ingenious. Right. Well, I think that's going to be me for tonight. So, I don't want to get into basing these yet. So, but yeah, they're not too bad actually. Sword. Look how fucking shiny that sword is. That metallic. I'm just realised I just put my fingers all in it. Fuck's sake. What a twat. Yeah, I'm going to join you there. As I said, it's, I've got work tomorrow, so thank you for all popping in and saying hi and hanging out. It's been lovely to have you here. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the weekend with whatever you're doing. And yeah, these are pretty cool. So sweet dreams, everybody, and I'll see you all again on Wednesday from 8 PM as normal. So until then, be safe, arrivederci, and happy hobbying, everybody. I know, bye.